Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph, the beginning of the Gemara right after the Mishnah. The Mishnah said that we can make diyumdim, and we make pasim birois, L-shaped mechitzas, a special kula that we made for the Orla Regolim, that they're just L-shaped mechitzas at the corner. They're not full mechitzas. It's more poretz and oimed. There's more open space and closed space. We made a special kula for Orla Regolim. Zok the Gemara, let's say our Mishnah, the Tan is not like Hananya. This time we learned in the Braisa, Oisim Pasin Labor. You can make pasim for a bor, v'chavolem l'shayar, and ropes for a caravan. So you can make pasim for a bor. Now, there's a difference between a bor and a be'er. As Rashi explains, a be'er is a well. So it has be'er ma'im chaim is a well. A bor is a pit, a deep pit that collects rainwater. And the chashash of a bor that it'll dry up is much greater than by a be'er. So we made this special kula. The question is, do we make it dafka for a be'er, just for specifically for a well, where we're not so concerned that it'll dry up, or even for a bor, even for a pit, where there's more of a concern that it'll dry up. Now this is a special kula to be able to draw the water for the Orla Regolim. And there would only be matcha, these types of mechitzas, dyumdim, if there is in fact water. So Hananya says that rather the Tanakama says that oisim pasin lebor, you can make the pasim even for a bor, v'chavolin l'sheara, and you can make ropes, as we learned earlier, on Daf Yud Daled, you can make ropes. Now, even though the ropes they're just ropes between them, and there's spaces between them, we are matter them for a shayara. This type of a mechitza, we're matter for a shayara for a caravan. So the Tanakhama says, "Oisim pasul labor v'chavolin shayara v'chananya omer chavolin labor." He says that Hananya says, "Aval chavolin labor v'loy pasin." That he says you can make rope fences around the bor, but not boards, not the pasim. Now, our Mishnah says that we do make pasim. We do have pasim lebirois. So let's say that our Mishnah is not like Hananya, where it says afilotem Hananya. No, bor lechud, bear lechud. No, it could be like Hananya. Hananya says that loy pasim for a bor. For a bor you don't make. It's chavolim, you can make the ropes. That type of mechitza you can make, and not the pasim for a bor. But a be'er, which we're not that concerned it'll dry up, he would be matir pasim, and therefore the Tana could be, on Tana or Mishnah, could be like Hananya, because when it says in the Mishnah that oisim pasim lebirois, it means dafka for a be'er and not a bor. That's one approach. Some say because it doesn't say, since it doesn't say Hananya oisim chavan lebor upasim lebe'er. Now Hananya just says, he says chavalim lebor aval loy pasim. Well, if a be'er, if a pasim would be muter, then it should say it. Now since he doesn't say oisim chavan lebor upasim lebe'er, he doesn't say that. Hananya loishna bor loishna be'er. So therefore that implies that there's no difference between a bor and a bear. Chavalin, pasim loy. It's only the ropes, that type of mechitza you can make, but not the pasim. Let's say our Mishnah is not like Hananya. More answer, no, afilotem Hananya. You could say that it is like Hananya. Lamai dekama Tanakama kama. Hananya was just responding to the Tanakama. Tanakama said oisim pasin lebor, and on that Hananya says you don't make pasin lebor. But they weren't discussing, the Tanakama wasn't discussing a bear, and Hananya similarly was not discussing a bear. Lema masnisin deloy Rabbi Kiva. Let's say our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Kiva. This nan echad ber harabim ubor harabim uber hayochid, whether it's a bor or bear. Whether it's Rab Mer Yochid, Oism Lem Pasim, Aval, but Bor HaYochid, Oism Mechitza Gavaya Sor, Tzvachim de Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva says that in all cases we could make the Pasim, except in a case where it's a Bor, which is a double Chasarn, it's a Bor, it's a Yochid. So it's a Bor which is more likely to dry up, and it also belongs to an individual, not to the Rabbim. It might go unnoticed. Otherwise, in the other three cases, you could make it. So that's what Rabbi Kiva holds. But our Mishnah says, which implies that a bore you cannot make the pasin. Our answer is no. Rabbi Kiva, you could say it's going like Rabbi Kiva. We say be'er ma'im chaim de psikale. Why does the Tana say birois? Why is it davka a be'er and not a bore? Because a be'er ma'im chaim de psikale is clear cut. Lo yishna de ram, lo yishna de yachid. Getani. But bor mechuzonim de loy psikale. But a bore, which is a collection of water, which is not clear cut because it's only the rabim, not the yachid, like getani. But really, perhaps that the Tana of our Mishnah would also agree that a bor, the rabim, is also isim pasim. Let's say the Mishnah is not like Rav Ben Bava. This non Rav Ben Bava Omer ain't isim pasim ela leber ram bilvad. He says you have to have two milas. It has to be a bear, not a bor, and even there it has to be the rabim. And our Mishnah says, be rois, it says in the plural, loishnad the rabim, loishnad the yachid. So it's mashma that any type of a be'er, whether it's yachid or rabim. More says, afilu tem Rav Yehuda ben Bava, my berois the alma. When it's berois, it's berois the alma. It doesn't mean plural. It doesn't mean plural yachid and rabim. It means in general. The general term berois, four wells. But maybe he's also masking that it's only lebe'er harabim. So these are the different shitas of what type of bodies of water, where can you make the yumdim. The yumdim, the L-shaped corner machitzas, where we make this special kula that we allow you in the corners to make these type of posts. My dyumdim, what's the lashon of dyumdim? Amar Rav Yirmiyah ben Elazar, dioi amudim. Means two. And dioi means the word dioi is two. So it's two posts. So an L-shaped post. Two posts attached together in an L shape. So now we're giving other examples where we have Jumdim, Jew. We have other cases where it's a reference to two. Tanan Halsam, we learned in the Mishnah Rabbi Yehuda Omer Kol Hashisim Petur. It says all the wild figs are potter from Demai. Demai is the produce you buy from an Amarar. It's a Chomer Chayshish that he didn't take Maisers, so they were Machayev, the person to be mafresh the Maisers. But wild figs don't have a great value, so they were not Chayshish that the Amarats did not take the Maisers. So they're potter. Chutz min Yufra, except for Yufra. My Yufra, what is Yufra? Amrula Ilano Esed Yud Paris Bishana. In Elon, a tree that has two crops in a year. Duparent has two fruits. Yufra has two fruits. Over here, the value is greater. Over there, we say from these types, we are chayshish that the Amarets will not take the Meiser, therefore you have to. But otherwise, you don't. So you see again, Jew is a lashon of two. Amar v'yirmi ben Elazar, Dioi, Partzuf, Panim Hayel Adam Rishon. There is Jew, there is two. Adam Rishon, when he was originally created, he was created with two faces, two figures, one in the front, one in the back. Shenemar Al-Chavar Kelen Satani. You created me, you formed me in the front and the back. So originally, he was as if two people form a figure in the front and a figure in the back. Ksiv, as Pasuk says, Vayivan Hashem Lekim Es HaTzela. It says, Rebbeinu Shalom, he formed the tzela that he took from Adam into Chav. Rav Shmuel Hadamar parts. One says it was the form of the figure, like we said before. So therefore he took the one in the back and he formed that into Chava. The other said no, it was a tail. So he argues on the previous understanding of the original creation of Adam Rishon. It says parts if we understand Achav Kedem Saratani. We use front to front and the back. You formed me in the front and the back. But the one who says tail, my achar v'kedem tzartani, what does it mean you formed from the back and from the front? So what does it mean achar v'kedem? So the one who says that no, it doesn't mean front and back, it means first and last. Kid Omar, Kid Rav Ami, like Rav Ami says, the Omar Rav Ami, Achal Masa Bereshis V'Ken L'Peronis, that Honor Rishon was created last. He was the last of Masa Bereshis, but he was the first to get punished. So Gemara says, Bishlam Achal Masa Bereshis. We understand that he was last from Masa Bereshis, that he wasn't created until Erev Shabbos. So he was created after the other creatures. Ella vakedem lepuronis maihi. But what was the first to be punished? He wasn't the first to be punished. If you say the kalola from after the ate from the Eitz Hadas, habetchila is kal nachash, ulasayv is kal lechava, ulasayv is kal adam. He wasn't the first. There was first the nachash, then the chava, then Adam. Ella, the reference is lamabel, when there was the destruction of the Mabel. It says that all of the existence was destroyed from the earth. It says from the Adam ad Behema. So Adam was first. He was the first one to get destroyed in the Mabel, and then the Behema. There parts of the one that says it was a figure. We understand. It says the Yitzer Trey Yudin with 2 Yudin. So it's Marishma, that it's a Reboy, that is Yitzer. 2 figures were created. Adam Marishan was created as 2. El Laman Damar Zanav, the one that says it's a tail. My Yitzer, what's the extra Yud? More answers. Kedar Shimon Pazi. Damar Shimon Pazi, Oiloi Mi Yitzri, Oiloi Mi Yitzri. That an extra Yud, that the person, Adam, he's created, man was created with an extra yud, a yotzer and a yetzer. Is oiloi mi yitzri, oiloi mi yitzri. If he gives in to the yetzer hara, then oiloi from the punishment of Hashem. And if he doesn't, he's constantly struggling and battling with the yetzer hara. If he doesn't listen to the yetzer hara, he's always battling with the yetzer hara. So he's caught between the yetzer and the yetzer. If it's parts, if we understand that the initial creation was 2 figures, there's a Zachar and a Keva Baram, that they were created from inception, Zachar and the Keva. My Zachar and the Keva Baram. But it's on what is Zachar and the Keva? Look at Ravo. The Ravo Rame, he has a Sirik Siv Zachar and Keva Baram. It says he was created them. It says in the plural, Uksiv. Him in the singular. So what's the pshat? In the initial, the machshava was, the thought was to create them 2. But in the end, he only created 1. Now, it doesn't mean that Rav Shalom changed his mind. But what it means to say is that there was a machshava, so to speak, that to create them as 2, and to create them initially as 2. So Kenzat the Pshat is meaning that ultimately the creation should have been that there's a Adam and Chava, there's a Zachar and a Keva. But he created them, and that means initially he's V'tchila also machshava livroisa shnayim. The intent was to create 2. It didn't change. That was the intent, that there should be created as Zachar and a Keva. So also machshava, that was the ultimate purpose, the design rather of creation, that there should be 2 separate entities. There should be a Zachar and a Keva. But beginning, he created them as 1. Perhaps the pshat is that they were created as 1, meaning, and therefore there is a bond between them. They are as 1, and ultimately, even though they're created as 2 separate entities, a Zachar and a Keva, but they are their source, the makor, is 1, and they were created as 1 so that they should return and be dovak v'ishta v'isha isha. They should be as 1 when they're reunited. Bishlam lamandam partzuf. We understand so we understand partzuf. And when they were split, it had to be the back had to be now refashioned, and it had to be filled in. But when it says a tail, well, you just cut off the tail. What does it mean that he had to close in the basar to fill it in? It means for the place of the cut. It doesn't mean that it had to be filled in, but just to heal that where it was cut, and in that place, in that spot, to replace the flesh. So we understand it had to be built. That from the tail, it had to be fashioned and formed a person. So that's what it says, Vayiven. El Damar parts of my Vayiven, but it says, the one that says parts of my Vayiven, it was, you had the figure was there. The figure was there. So what was the building? What had to be fashioned? Whereas the Dorshu Menashe, it says Vayiven Hashem Elokim Esat that he fashioned the Sela, the side that he took from Adam, and he fashioned it into Chava. Melamed Shekila Kodesh Baruch Hu L'Chava, to teach you that he braided her hair. Ve'avil Adam Rishon, he made her beautiful and brought it to Adam Rishon. Shekein B'Karchei Hayam Karm L'Kliyasa B'Niyasa. They call braiding, they call it B'Niyasa. It means that he presented her to Adam Rishon in an appealing way. Davar Acher Vayiven Hashem Elokim. It says, Omer Rav Chisda V'Amalo Misni Satana. What does it mean? Melamed Shabana Kodesh Baruch Hu L'Chava. It means that he fashioned her kibinyan, like the shape of a binyan, like a storehouse. What does that mean? The storehouses are wider on the bottom and narrow on top. That's the way they're made over there, so that the weight is resting, more of the weight is resting on the bottom, and it will now be able to contain what you're filling in the storehouse without damaging the walls, because the heavier weight is on the bottom, on the foundation. So in order to hold that the pears that you put into it, and it doesn't damage and put too much pressure on the walls. So she's also fashioned in that way in order to be able to bear a child. And he brought her to Adam. So this teaches us that the Kodesh Baruch Hu, he was the Shushan, he made the arrangements for the Chasana. He was, as Kivyachal, so to speak, the close one, the close to the Chosan, that he took care of the arrangements for the Chasana. And that teaches you that someone who's greater should nevertheless take care of the arrangements for someone who's lesser in stature, and it shouldn't bother him, even though he's exerting himself for the benefit of someone who's lower in stature. You see that the Rebbe Shalom, he was a Shushan for Adam Arisha.